Hi, I'm Ryan, and I hope you're having a great day. In this video, I want to show you how to use Sketch along with the Craft plugin to create a user interface just like the one you see in front of you. And what exactly are we looking at? We are looking at something that seems to be like a sidebar, which has the name of a city and a simple rectangle beside it. And the rectangle appears to be different for each city. Most of these rectangles are simply landscapes. So let's see how Sketch, along with the Craft plugin, lets us make a UI like this really fast. So to get started, I'm going to create a simple artboard and I'm going to give it the size of desktop HD. So now Sketch has made this nice little artboard right beside the previous one. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a simple rectangle. I'm going to press the R key and I'm going to press the Shift key while I click and drag just so that I can get a square. So in this case, I drew the square of size 60 by 60 as you can see here, which is convenient, which is what I want. And then I'm going to press the T key, which represents text, and I'm going to click somewhere here. And I'm just going to click out because I think a random text or whatever default text is fine for now. What I actually want to do is I want to change this text such that it represents the name of a city, and I don't want to look up either on Wikipedia or Google to figure out, dummy text or city names to put over here. It's just a lot of work to do. So let's see how we can do that using the Craft plugin. So if I select this text here, notice that what happens here on just beside this the sketch inspector, you have a set of tools here, and these tools are part of the sketch plugin. One of these tools is called the data tool, and in my case this is data version 109. So I'm going to click on this tool over here, and you see you have a couple of options here. If you click on type, it shows you the different types that are available. You have names, headlines, articles, etc. What I want is the name of a city. So I'm going to click on cities, and the moment I did that, notice how the name over here changed to Francisco TAD, right? That's like my text is suddenly data bound. The other thing you probably want to do is before you change such text, right, make sure the text is left aligned so that when we create more copies of it, the text is, and when the city names are actually longer, the text stays left aligned. So now we associated this particular text with a city name. Let me select this rectangle now. When I selected the rectangle again, I'm going to select the data here. And in this case, I want photos. So by default, Sketch actually comes with these three. This was something I created myself, but let me do it all over again. So let's say this was how you started out. You started out with beach, kids, and nature. This is not what you want. You want a landscape. So I'm going to say add an item and add the item from Unsplash. You also have options to select items from Dropbox or from your local folder. But I want to add pictures from Unsplash, which is like an open repository for public domain images. So I'm going to go to Unsplash. I'm going to say, give me all landscapes, and I'm going to say I'm going to call this UNS hyphen UNS Unsplash hyphen landscapes. I'm going to do save, and I'm going to click on landscapes now. And the moment I did that, you see a message here saying downloading image from Unsplash. It may take a few seconds. And then an image appears in the rectangle here. Great, right? So I did not have to look up an image to put over here. Now let me just close these two things, and for convenience, I'm just going to select both these layers and I'm going to press Command G to group them. So now I have a group of two items here, the image and the text. This is the city name. Now the interesting part is when you duplicate stuff. Usually when you duplicate stuff in Sketch, you press Command D and then you duplicate stuff, right? But since in our case this data this UI is data bound, you do not want to press the command D to duplicate. What instead you want to do is you want to click on this tool over here, which is duplicate. And then you want to say that I want to duplicate this particular group vertically, let's say 5 times. And I want these 5 instances to have a spacing of 10 pixels between them. Now I say duplicate content, and magically my content has been duplicated. Also notice something else has happened. Sketch grouped all the duplicates in another group at a higher level, and it created another layer, sorry. It created another layer called as duplicate control. And why do you even need this layer, right? So the reason you have this layer is that, let's say you started editing stuff, you had to change this text, you just decided to change this text, or you were editing something else on the UI. And then suddenly you realize that maybe, 10 pixels is not enough. I want it to be 20 pixels. So you can click on this layer again and then click back on the duplicate tool, and it will show you your previous configuration. So in this case, I can actually reduce the number of duplicates. So I can say 2, and all of a sudden I have 2 items. I can make it 6, and I have 6 items. I can increase the padding to 20 pixels, which is probably what I want, and everything works well. I'm going to close this now and zoom out a little bit to show you another important characteristic. So let me increase the space over here a little bit, just so that I can see the entire city name. Notice what happens when I actually select the bottom border here in this case, because I'm not this one. So let me select duplicate control. Okay, with duplicate control layer selected, I'm going to click and drag the bottom box, the bottom control of the box, and go right till the bottom here, and notice how it automatically created more elements for me, which is really great, right? I did not have to manually go ahead and do stuff, all because of this special layer created and managed by the Craft plugin. The other thing you want to keep in mind is, if you actually reduce the size of this, it is not going to delete those additional layers. They are actually going to be hidden and they will stay on the screen. So it's great when you want to increase content, but it is not great when you want to decrease. So if you ever end up, wanting to have less elements, make sure to delete them manually from the layers panel on the left, so that you don't have extra elements on your sketch document just making or just bloating the entire document. So in my case, I however want it to be a little bigger, so I'm just going to let it be here. And this looks like a nice little nav on the left for me to select cities and stuff like that. And I did not have to look up anything, neither the name of a city nor a picture. And this was a tutorial. It took me like a minute, or it took me like 8 minutes, but if you do it by yourself, it's just going to take you less than a minute to do stuff like this. Well, I hope this is helpful, and thanks for watching.